Hello, guten Tag, and welcome back to another cinematography breakdown. In today's video, I want to break down a scene that we filmed for a short film last year. And this is a top-down shot of a bedroom scene. And no, it's not what you think it is. The scene looks pretty simple at first because the majority is filmed with the top-down shot, but we also had different angles where you can see how the room is shaped out to be, and unfortunately we weren't able to actually mount the camera the way that it would naturally occur, so we had to be creative, flip the shot, and therefore make sure that the lighting matches in both shots, but I will talk about this a little later. And this video is sponsored by audio, but I will also get into this later in the video. We actually filmed two scenes that took place in different timings throughout the short film, but we obviously filmed them at the same time. But both of them were early in the morning. The scene that I want to break down right now is our main actor lying in bed, getting a text message, getting up, and just being a little bit frustrated. Since we were filming on the top floor and we had these crooked walls, we weren't able to actually mount the camera directly over the headrest of the bed. So what we simply did is we turned the actor around, also put the pillows on the opposite side, and then we just mounted the camera there. But remember, we also filmed a medium shot from the side, so we had this to match later on, and I will talk about this in more detail when we get to the lighting part. We used the red Komodo X with a Tokina 11-20 cine lens, because that gave us a good amount of field of view to actually get two actors and the bed in frame. The red Komodo X was stripped down as much as possible to be able to actually mount it overhead and not have too much weight on it. We also had a DJI transmission system on the back of the camera as well as a V-mount battery to send out a signal to our director's monitor as well as to our focus puller so that the director and me, the director of photography, could see what's going on, frame the shot, as well as control the camera settings, and our focus puller be able to pull focus. As our director's monitor, we used the Atomos 19 SE, and that is an amazing monitor, sometimes to pull focus on, but mostly as a client/director's monitor. The monitor we used to pull focus on was the original DJI transmission monitor that comes with a transmission kit. As for our matte box, we used a Bright Tangerine Misfit Kick, because this is a very lightweight matte box with multiple slots for rectangular filters. And we used this to not only use an ND filter, but also use a mist filter as well. So now let's quickly go over how we actually mounted the camera overhead. All we used was a C-stand with a Manfrotto boom arm. And then on the end of the boom arm, we put a grip head. On the grip head, we put a tripod head and then mounted the camera directly to the tripod. And that gave us a really simple but sturdy setup. We also doubly secured the camera with safety ropes, so if something were to break and the camera would fall, then it wouldn't fall on top of our actors, but be caught by the safety ropes. We also used some counterweights to balance out our rig, because that also adds to the safety part. And if you're wondering how we attached our tripod head to the grip head, we just used a spigot, and the one end goes in the bottom of the tripod head and the other one you can just mount directly to the grip head. I want to say that this is the easiest way to get an overhead rig for your camera setup. And the red Komodo X is absolutely amazing for this, because you can strip it down to a really small and lightweight camera setup. And with the Red Control app, you can control all the setups via your phone wirelessly, so you don't have to actually get to the camera physically to change any settings. For much heavier camera setups, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. I would use two C-stands and then have a boom arm spread across them and then mount the camera directly to this middle beam. But like I said, we also had to film different angles, and then the camera tripod would have been in the middle, so we wanted to have as much space as possible to film from two different angles at the same time. And if you're filming a short film like this, or a commercial project, or any video really, you need good music and sound effects. So let's talk about our sponsor Audio. What I really like about Audio is that their library is so high quality and all their music is highly curated, so that you don't have to spend hours to scroll through junk to find the right music that you're looking for. But what makes it even easier to find the right music for your project, and that is an absolute game changer, is the Link Match AI feature. Here you can use any link from Spotify, for example, drop it into Audio, and then it will show you a curated list of similar sounding music. And that makes it so much easier to find the right music for your project, and it works with links from other platforms as well. But aside from high quality music, all these new AI features, Audio also has an extensive library of sound effects. So with a single subscription, you have a one place for everything that you need for all of your projects, and they're easy to find and very high quality. So if you want to sign up to Audio right now, you can get 70% off with my discount code Cooper70 if you use the link down in the description below. So that is only $59 for an entire year of everything I just mentioned, including the sound effects. So go check it out, link is in the description below. Next up, let's talk about the lighting of the scene. When it comes to lighting a scene, we always need a reference shot so that we can see not only where the light is coming from, but also what's the quality of light, the light temperature, etc, etc. And for this, we use the last shot of our scene where our actor is actually getting out of bed, because here we can clearly see that there's windows on our camera left side. So we know that it's early morning, there is sunlight coming in, and it's coming from camera left. So now we need to make sure that all of our shots are consistent to what we see in this image. So let's start with our reference shot, because that was the easier one. For our key light, we wanted to have something soft and nice, mimicking the sunlight coming in from the window, wrapping around his face. For our key light, we used a GVM 650 watt COB light, and we shot it through a diffusion frame. We used a one-stop diffusion material, put it on a frame, and also made sure that we flag it off on the bottom so we don't get too much spill onto places that we don't want our sunlight to spread. So here we could set our lights to around 6000 Kelvin, because that would mimic the light coming in from the window as best as possible, and with the one-stop diffusion material, we were able to also soften it up. The power of the GVM 650 watt also gave us enough output so that we could actually battle the sunlight coming in through the actual windows. To increase contrast on the shadow side of his face, we also used negative fill and put it all across our camera right. We also wanted to add a hard light just to emphasize further that there is sunlight coming in early in the morning, and also to make the scene a little bit more interesting. And for this we used a Nanlite Forza 60B2 with a spotlight mount. And the spotlight mount enabled us to shape the form of our light into a tight beam. So this scene was pretty easy, because everything was what you see is what you get. Our actor is sitting on the edge of the bed, and you can see that there's a window on the camera left in the background. So all we need to do is just put all of our light sources on camera left, and that is pretty simple. But now remember, for our top-down shot, which was making up the majority of the scene, we had to flip our actor because we weren't able to mount the camera directly overhead. So now we also had to flip all of our light sources as well. So the first thing we had to do is we had to flag off the actual windows, because we can't have two light sources coming in from two different sides, because that wouldn't make any sense. So now in order to mimic that our sunlight is coming in from the same angle for our overhead shot as well as for our medium shot, we needed to flip the key light as well. So for this we took the same GVM 650 watt COB light and just put it on the other side of the bed, coming in from a slight angle, and we put the same diffusion material in front of it and flagged off the bottom as well. So now when we flip the image in post later, it looks like our key light is coming in from our camera left, whereas we had it on our camera right in the actual shot. We also still used our Nanlite Forza 60B with a spotlight mount for our hard light source across our frame. And of course, we also had to put this on the flip side of where we're standing in the beginning. To then also get the same quality of life, we put our negative fill on the opposite side of the bed so that we increase the contrast on the shadow side of his face. And then the last thing we added was, of course, the good old haze machine, because everybody on this channel knows how much I love haze, and it just adds to the atmosphere, especially when you're filming an early morning scene, and when using hard light, you also get more depth out of this as well. So then for everything to make sense in the end, there needs to be something done in post-production. And I'm not the editor of the project, and the project is still in post-production, and I will post a link on some of my socials when the final project is actually being released. But for now, this is what I did just to tie the scene together and show you the results. I needed to take the overhead shot and just turn it around by 180 degrees so that it makes sense, because technically we filmed it upside down, if that makes sense. And then they match perfectly. The lighting fits on the right side, and you can really tell that this is filmed from the opposite side of the bed, and I think it ties in very nicely together. Then I just added a little bit of color grading. This isn't the final color grading for the spot, because there will be a dedicated colorist doing this. Just to not show you some log footage, I threw in one of my custom LUTs, and this one is brown sugar from the spade LUT pack, and you can check it out down in the description below if you're interested. But that is pretty much all we needed to do, and therefore we have a nice scene that we could tie together with a top-down shot, flipped lighting, everything stays consistent, and this is how we filmed this overhead top-down shot. So if you like this cinematography breakdown, then please give it a thumbs up because it really helps the channel grow. And if you want to see more cinematography breakdowns for this project, then let me know down in the comments below, because there's still a party scene with more than 30 people on set. So I could talk about the RGB lighting as well as the blocking of all the extras, etc, etc. Just let me know. And also make sure to check out audio with my discount code Cooper70 and the link down in my description below. Subscribe for more because there will be a new video every Wednesday, and I hope to see you on the next one.